At the start of the 20th century, Ireland was a nation deeply divided. For centuries it had lived under British rule. Many Irish people resented this. They yearned for self-governance, for the freedom to shape their own destiny. Adding fuel to the fire was the issue of land ownership. Most of Ireland's land was controlled by a small number of wealthy landlords, many of whom were English or Anglo-Irish. The majority of Irish people were tenant farmers struggling to make a living on small plots of land. The desire for land reform and Irish Home Rule, a form of self-government within the United Kingdom, were constant sources of tension. While the British Parliament debated Home Rule, some in Ireland grew impatient. They believed that peaceful means would never be enough to achieve true independence. These tensions, simmering for generations, were about to boil over. The world was on the brink of war, and in Ireland, a small group of radicals saw an opportunity. They believed that the time was right for a bold move, a decisive act that would shake the foundations of British rule and awaken the spirit of an independent Ireland. The road to the 1916 Easter Rising was paved with frustration and a growing sense of urgency among Irish nationalists. The Home Rule Bill, a long fought-for piece of legislation that promised limited self-governance to Ireland, had been passed by the British Parliament in 1914. However, its implementation was suspended with the outbreak of World War I. This delay was seen as a betrayal by many in Ireland. Nationalist leaders, feeling increasingly marginalised, began to look for more radical solutions. Secret societies such as the Irish Republican Brotherhood gained prominence. The IRB, committed to a completely independent Ireland, saw the war as a chance to strike a blow against British rule, while its attention was elsewhere. It was within these clandestine groups that the plans for an armed rebellion were hatched. Fueling their determination was a potent mix of idealism, anger at historical injustices, and a belief that Ireland's destiny lay in its own hands. They were willing to risk everything for their cause, even if it meant taking up arms against a powerful empire.
On Easter Monday, April 24th, 1916, the rebellion that would forever alter the course of Irish history erupted onto the streets of Dublin.
Armed members of the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army, led by the IRB, seized key locations in the city centre. The General Post Office, a prominent landmark, became the rebels' headquarters. From its steps, Patrick Pearse, one of the rising's leaders, read aloud the proclamation of the Irish Republic, declaring Ireland's right to freedom and self-determination. The rising took the British authorities by surprise. Initially caught off guard, they quickly moved to crush the rebellion. British troops, supported by artillery, engaged in fierce street fighting with the rebels. Dublin became a battleground with civilians caught in the crossfire. Despite their courage and determination, the rebels were outnumbered and outgunned.
After 6 days of intense fighting, the leaders of the rising realized that their position was hopeless. They surrendered to the British forces on April 29, 1916.
The 1916 Easter Rising was spearheaded by a group of men and women driven by a shared dream of an independent Ireland. While their backgrounds and beliefs varied, they were united by their willingness to fight and die for their cause.
Patrick Pearse, a poet, writer, and passionate advocate for Irish culture, became the Rising's most prominent voice. His powerful speeches and writings inspired both rebels and future generations of Irish nationalists.
James Connolly, a socialist Labour leader, brought a strong sense of social justice to the movement. He believed that an independent Ireland should be a place of equality and opportunity for all its citizens. Alongside Pearse and Connolly stood other figures who would become icons of Irish history: Tom Clark, an IRB veteran, Sean McDermott, a charismatic organiser, and Countess Markievicz, a fierce revolutionary who fought on the barricades. These leaders, and the countless others who joined them, knew the risks they were taking. They chose to fight, not for personal glory, but for a future where Ireland would be free. The 1916 Easter Rising sent shockwaves throughout Ireland and beyond. The rebellion, though short-lived, shattered the illusion of normalcy. The streets of Dublin, once bustling with life, now lay in ruins, scarred by the violence of the fighting.
In the immediate aftermath, there was confusion and fear. The British authorities, determined to reassert their control, imposed martial law. Rebels were rounded up and imprisoned, and many were sentenced to death.
The executions of the Rising's leaders, carried out in the weeks following the surrender, sparked outrage and anger among the Irish population. The Rising had a profound impact on public opinion. While many had initially been ambivalent or even opposed to the rebellion, the harsh response of the British government and the deaths of the leaders transformed them into martyrs.
A wave of sympathy for the rebel cause swept across Ireland, laying the groundwork for a new phase in the struggle for independence.
The 1916 Easter Rising forced Britain to confront the reality of the situation in Ireland. The rebellion, though militarily insignificant, exposed the depth of anti-British sentiment and the failure of its policies to address the underlying causes of Irish discontent.
The British government, initially focused on suppressing dissent, realized that a purely military solution would not be sustainable. There was a growing recognition that a new approach was needed, one that acknowledged the aspirations of the Irish people.
However, finding a solution proved to be incredibly challenging. The political landscape in Ireland was becoming increasingly polarized. The Irish Republican Army, born from the ashes of the Rising, was gaining support and waging a guerrilla war against British rule. The situation in Ireland remained volatile, with no easy answers in sight. The 1916 Easter Rising, though a military failure, had a seismic impact on the course of Irish history. It was a watershed moment, a turning point that ignited the flames of Irish nationalism and set in motion a chain of events that would ultimately lead to independence. The Rising's legacy is complex and multifaceted. It inspired generations of Irish people to fight for their freedom, but it also left a legacy of violence and division. The rebellion's leaders, through their sacrifice, became symbols of Irish resistance, their names etched in the annals of Irish history. The Rising also had a profound impact on the cultural and political landscape of Ireland. It inspired a new wave of Irish literature, music and art, all reflecting on the themes of sacrifice, freedom and national identity. It also led to the rise of Sinn Féin, a political party committed to Irish independence, which would play a pivotal role in the Irish War of Independence. The 1916 Easter Rising has been a source of both commemoration and controversy in the decades since it took place. In Ireland, the Rising is widely commemorated as a pivotal moment in the struggle for independence. Annual parades and events are held to mark the anniversary of the rebellion, honoring the memory of those who fought and died.
However, the Rising has also been the subject of debate and disagreement. Some argue that the violence of the rebellion was unjustified, and that it ultimately hindered the cause of Irish independence. Others question the romanticized image of the Rising, and point to the loss of innocent lives.
Despite these controversies, the 1916 Easter Rising remains a significant event in Irish history. It serves as a reminder of the complexities of the past and the enduring power of the human desire for freedom. The legacy of the Rising continues to shape how Ireland remembers its past and how it navigates the challenges of the present.
In modern Ireland, the 1916 Easter Rising continues to hold a complex and multifaceted legacy. While it is celebrated as a key moment in the fight for Irish independence, it is also a reminder of the human cost of conflict and the enduring challenges of achieving lasting peace. The Rising's legacy can be seen in the values of democracy, self-determination and social justice that underpin modern Irish society. It also serves as a reminder of the importance of dialogue, reconciliation and understanding in addressing historical grievances. As Ireland navigates the complexities of the 21st century, the 1916 Easter Rising continues to offer valuable lessons about the importance of courage, sacrifice, and the enduring pursuit of a just and equitable society for all. It is a legacy that continues to shape Ireland's identity, both at home and on the world stage.